So you get product in pretty much every low carb conference that I've been to here lately. What was the catalyst, the motivation for getting into this space in the first place, man?
When I was a kid, I was often pretty sick. I had this sort of immunocompromised life. When I went to college after my freshman year, I lived in Europe and had to cook for myself. In so doing, I discovered that if I ate certain things, I felt better. So I started thinking, if I want to feel better, I should just eat the right things, and began researching when you were a kid all the junk food that was crunchy and salty and delicious that you wanted to eat and adults told you was bad for you. There's nothing stopping us from making those things the right way. The idea with the company is for us to keep doing that, applying that same philosophy to snack recipes that everyone knows and loves.
Excited to chat with you, man. So you get product in pretty much every low carb conference that I've been to here lately. The Masa chips, but you started out with Ancient Crunch as like the umbrella company, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's right. Masa chips were our first product. So we've been selling them for about 3.5 years, and we started doing potato chips a little over a year ago.
Nice. What was the catalyst, the motivation for getting into this space in the first place, man?
Yeah, it's a good story. So I think it starts with my personal health journey. I hate to use that term, but is what it is. When I was a kid, I was often pretty sick. So I get, for example, in 8th grade, I got the flu, and then I got the swine flu 2 weeks later. I always had allergies. I would always, I would never be able to go outside for more than 20 minutes without a box of tissues nearby. I had this sort of immunocompromised life that I had lived for my entire childhood. And when I went to college after my freshman year, I ended up doing some internship where I lived in Europe and had to cook for myself. And in so doing, I discovered that if I ate certain things, I felt better. If I ate certain things, I felt worse. I'm like, oh, that's funny. Not a realization I never had before as a 19-year-old. And so I started thinking if I want to feel better, I should just eat the right things, and began researching. I think paleo diet was popular at the time, so I started doing that. Um, and over the years, I just did all the popular diets, learned all about the lifestyle, health effects of how you work out and sleep and eat and all these things. So I became, that guy in the friend group, if you will, that was the health guy. Um, a few years down the line, I had graduated, I was working, I was on a trip with a few friends, and I found one of them eating Tostitos. And of course, this was in 2021, and the seed oil was the latest craze at that time. And start lecturing him like, dude, you know what you're putting in your body, like, how could you? Um, and he basically told me, he's like, well, I don't have time to do anything else. What else am I supposed to eat? I don't want to eat crappy, gross health food. I want to eat what tastes good. And I started describing to him, a hypothetical chip. I'm like, it doesn't have to be this way. Here, hypothetically, you could make a chip with this and that and the other thing, grass-fed tallow, organic corn, and it would actually not only be healthy, but it would be good for you. And he said, oh, that sounds cool. Where can I go buy this? And of course, at that time, you couldn't. There was no one selling it. And so he basically challenged me to go make one, which I subsequently did. It came out great, and we started selling it a few weeks later, and I've been doing this ever since.
Nice, man. So what was the first formulation like? Like, did you make this in your own kitchen and
Yeah.
just go from there? Like, how'd that work?
Yeah, so I made the first prototype of Masa chips in my parents' backyard on Easter in 2022, with a turkey fryer, propane powered turkey fryer, a box of grass-fed tallow, and some tortillas that I found from a local artisanal tortilla maker. Chopped them up, fried them, and honestly, that's still a recipe today. It like that first attempt, that was it. Obviously, we have our flavors and all that stuff, but that is the concept. You take tortillas, you chop them, you fry them in grass-fed beef tallow, and that's Masa chips.
Nice, nice. So what were you going to school for? Like, were you going to school for business or totally unrelated?
No, I had studied math, and I ended up with a job as a software engineer for Facebook in 2020, and that's what was doing after college for about 2.5 years until I quit to work on Ancient Crunch full time.
Nice. What was the business entrepreneurial journey like? Like, you made this in your parents' backyard. It tasted
Yeah.
great. You're like, all right, I'm skipping out on the software engineering. I'm quitting Facebook, and I'm just gonna start frying chips and putting those on Shopify. Or how'd that work?
Yeah, that's kinda what happened. So for the first maybe 2 months, we so maybe we'll back up a little bit. After the prototype was good, we realized, okay, we have to sell these. came up with the brand, came up with the packaging. I had and still have a sort of a small health influencer account on Instagram and Twitter. I had a few friends who were similar health influencers, and they had an audience. And so we got a commercial kitchen together, got a few pieces of equipment, got a little fryer, probably spent a few $1,000 getting everything ready. And then we made our first batch, I think on a Saturday afternoon. My dad was there, a few friends, and we threw them up on Shopify that week, told all our Instagram followers, and our friends had told their followers about it. And we sold everything we had made in a few hours. It was around, I guess, it was about 2,000 bags worth almost, if I'm trying to remember correctly. Um,
Nice.
yeah, and so we kept doing that for a few weeks, like, going in on Saturdays, making a bunch of chips, selling them during the week, selling out, and at some point, we're like, "We have to get the website permanently in stock, we have to keep making, we have to start producing chips during the week, increase the shifts, hire people, etcetera." Still out of a very tiny commercial kitchen, and, I quit my job around 2 months into that. And about a month after that, we got a real lease at what is an office building. Um, Not really the type of place that you have a chip factory out of, but it had a commercial kitchen, right? Because office buildings have cafeterias, so it had the hoods, space, it had the whole cafeteria, the sinks, so it had all the room. And we rented a little bit of that otherwise empty building and kept every few months adding more and more space. Go back to the landlord saying, "Hey, I want this room. I want that hallway. I want this room." Eventually, we occupied the entire, building, and as of, this past October, we're fully moved into a new, facility. Actually, 2 facilities across the street from one another. One's our fulfillment warehouse, and the other is our production facility. It's about 70,000 square feet total, and we're getting ready to install some very serious scaled, chip making equipment. Still, to this day, it's all made by hand, very labor intensive and therefore very expensive. Um, so we hope to be able to produce more consistently. Of course, quality is the same ingredients, so quality is the same or better. Consistency is something that robots are better at than people. Um, and we hope to have that running early next year, and that'll allow us to sell in Sprouts and Whole Foods and all the other stores that we're planning on carrying Masa in over the next, forever.
Very cool, man. Very cool. Yeah, it's our business all, in-house as well. Like food production in-house comes with a whole bunch of headaches and obstacles, but man, I wouldn't want it either way. Like when you're got your own space, you're seeing it, you get your own crew, like there's so much to be said for that. Like you're not dealing with co-packers, you're not outsourcing your troubles, you're just problem solving and figuring it out on the fly.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a lot of problem solving. It is a lot of figuring stuff out. Lots can go wrong. Most people don't necessarily know this, but it sounds like you do, of course. Most people don't understand that uh, you all the food that you buy on shelf, it's not made in a factory owned and operated by the brand that you're buying from. I think Lesser
Uh-huh.
Evil is actually a good example. Well, recently, of a company that owned its own manufacturing of a startup. They were bought by Hershey's not too long ago. So,
Uh-huh.
um, although I'm sure they kept the manufacturing facility, but yeah, for the vast majority of snacks, especially like companies that are smaller, yeah, there's a few factories in the country that make everything. So if it's roasted
Yep.
nuts, if it's tortilla chips, if it's potato chips, whatever, there's the factory somewhere, and that's where it comes from, and the brand on the package is not necessarily reflective of the owners and operators of that factory.
And what's unfortunate is if you're going through a co-packer, unless you get really lucky, but that's oftentimes not the case. I mean, you're going to have to be kind of held to whatever standard that co-packer operates with, and they're going to be motivated to improve their margins. They're going to cut corners wherever they can,
Mhm.
and that's why we kept everything in house. Like we wanted to oversee complete quality control, and the only way to do that is to keep it in house because you can't control what a co-packer outsource manufacturer's doing.
Yes, yes, exactly. They they don't have the same incentives you do. It's not their customer relationships, it's your customer relationships. Um, they don't necessarily even know about or care about the same things you care about. Like a detail that you might find is important for you and your product, like they might not even know about or care about. Um, so something as say as simple as how often do you change the oil for us? I've been to several chip factories for various reasons, trying to buy equipment or whatever, um, where the oil is just not changed in the fryers. Like, they just keep adding to it, and then when they clean the fryer, they drain the oil, clean the fryers, and pump the old oil back in, and they just keep going
Mhm.
forever, and that's kind of insane. So yeah, there's small details like that, that when you're not running it and caring about it, you don't get to pay attention to.
Absolutely. Do y'all do primarily direct to consumer right now, or are y'all doing, like, retail as well?
So we have since we've started, we've sold to small health food stores. We got into Erewhon very quickly after we launched. A few regional chains, boutiques, some hotels, cafes, etc. We had up until October about 1,500 stores in the country that carried our products. Um, but in October, we launched in Sprouts, which is our first nationwide grocery store launch. That's added about another 450 stores. So now we're around 2,000 places. And by the middle of next year, that that's going to be something like 3,000 stores. Um, so rapidly expanding our retail footprint. But for the most part, up until recently, it's all been D2C heavy.
Do you like the retail, or do you prefer? I mean, obviously, you get more volume with the retail, but you're less connected intimately with the end users. Do you have a preference
Yeah,
one way or the other?
I think both have their advantages. If this is, advice for someone starting, I'd say D2C is great when you begin because you do get that relationship. You get to get quick feedback. If there are problems, you get to fix them. And so you really get to get a handle on things. You get to build a brand. People know you and trust you because you won't have customers in any one location. So many customers in one location, it's kind of hard to just go straight into a retail channel. However, over time, the economics of retail actually catch up and often exceed the economics of a D2C channel. So freight, and this depends on the product, but for us, for example, it's very expensive to ship chips um, through the mail, UPS. Like, small boxes of chips are very expensive to ship. Um, and in a grocery store, when you're filling up an entire truck of chips to get to a grocery store, the per bag shipping cost ends up being much cheaper. And so for us, like, from a financial perspective, our margins are going to be similar between retail and D2C. Obviously, the cash cycle is different, right? Retail pays you later, depending on the store and your arrangement, right? It could take 30 days, could take 60 days to actually get your checks. So there's that disadvantage. But also on D2C, you have to go and get all the traffic yourself. Like, if you're
Mhm.
not running ads or whatever, no one's going to your website. Having influencers promote you, whatever it is, like, you have to get people to show up to your website. Grocery stores are the billboard. People are already there. That's the destination. Like, you don't have to do any work to get people to go to that grocery store. You just have to do the work to get off the shelf. And so I think there's very strong synergies in the modern age between both retail and D2C. It would be hard to have a complete and mature business with only one and not the other, at least in
Yeah,
this category.
totally. What do y'all think has been the main contributor for your growth on the direct to consumer market thus far? Like, is it more so the influencers, the paid
Yeah.
ads, or
We've run a lot of ads, but I think we started off with influencers, and we still do a lot with that. I think that's very important for building trust and getting people to know about you. Ads help convert people, but I think people need to hear that someone they trust recommends it. Podcasts ads have worked pretty well. Same with YouTube. Um, so I think a variety, multi-channel approach makes sense. Um, but yeah, we started with influencers and we do run a lot of ads today. So I think, again, each serves their purpose when combined with the other. Um, and you should probably or ultimately seek to use all the channels to the best advantage that you can.
totally? What's been the biggest headache or roadblock or obstacle thus far in growing?
Building a factory is expensive and hard. um,
Yeah,
that's probably it for us. The marketing hasn't been that much of a challenge. I think our product is both healthy and actually delicious, contrary to the claims of many quote unquote better for you product brands. Um, this is not a substitute, right? It's not cassava instead of corn. It's not allulose instead of sugar. You get what I'm saying? It's not almond flour instead of wheat. And so I think with health foods have this problem that a lot of people, and a lot of people have this where it's like it's never as good as the quote unquote real thing. And so some people buy it, some people like that because they care about their health more than they care about the enjoyment of what they put in their mouth. But the 95%, for 95% of people, how it tastes is the most important thing when deciding what food to buy. And so if you have both and truly have both, not, some vague marketing like just like the real thing, even though it is not. Our thing is the real thing. Right? And if you were to go back in time and look at how tortilla chips were made 100 years ago, it would much more resemble the way we do it than the way it's commonly done today. So we do sell the real thing, and therefore it tastes like the real thing and tastes better than the real thing. Um, and it's also very healthy. So that combination, I think, sells itself. No, but the challenge is simply like we get complaints all the time about how expensive our products are. Lost chips are $13 a bag, etc. It's like, you have any idea how much money it costs to build a factory?
What
um,
what is the cost of a normal bag of chips of equivalent volume? I haven't bought chips in a long time, so what's the comparison there?
um, you can buy Doritos for like 40 or 50 cents an ounce. And for us, it's between $2 and $3 an ounce. So it's a significant difference, right? Siete
Yeah.
chips, which are considered a very common, although of course Pepsi owns them, but a very common, healthy, better for you chip. They're around $1 an ounce, maybe 90 cents to 110. So we're like 2 to 2.5 times more expensive than Siete, and like 5 to 6 times more expensive, 4 to 6 times more expensive than the bottom barrel. Um,
Yeah.
so, and yet it's still not it's not expensive enough because we still struggle to pay for all the stuff that we need to do to build our factory and our operations, right? Like it's so inefficient. Um, which is our problem, of course. But alas, it's not as if we're like sitting here printing billions of dollars because we figure out how to sell chips for $13. Haha. It's like, no, we are tight, at least while we're building out, scaled operations. Once we have that in place, then things start to look a little different. But until then, it's really a challenge.
It's tough, man. People like I get it because I do my own, manufacturing in house as well, and other people that do, they get it. But you can't really blame the consumer because they would. I mean, how would they possibly know? Like they would have no.
Yeah,
They have no context. But like when you offer a premium product that's using high quality ingredients and you're doing it in house, like the input cost that you have to procure, you have to absorb to make that a reality. Like you can't even compare. Like our product is significantly more expensive than a Snickers bar on a cost per calorie basis. It's none. But like I'm not trying to take like a Snickers bar consumer away from their Snickers bar. Like, if you need that degree of education, then we're not probably a good fit. Like, we're trying to
right.
offer a premium product for people that get it and respect it and appreciate it. And if you try to like beat your head up against the wall with people that are just always price shopping for the lower quality option, you're never gonna win.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's totally true. So, I mean, there's a lot of people out there. A lot of people eat 3 times a day, like, 300 million Americans eating 3 times a day is like 900 million meals, a day that are consumed. It's a lot of food, right? You don't
Mhm.
need to sell to all of them. You need to find the people that care about what you make, and, they value it for sure.
Totally. So you get Ancient Crunch as the umbrella to both Masa and Vandy chips. What is Vandy chips?
Potato chips, similar idea. Fried in tallow, organic potatoes, very the best, most natural possible seasonings, nothing fake. Um, a potato chip as it was meant to be. And the idea with the company is for us to keep doing that, applying that same philosophy to other categories and other snack recipes that everyone knows and loves. So you can imagine when you were a kid, all the junk food that was crunchy and salty and delicious that you wanted to eat, and adults told you was bad for you. Um, there's nothing stopping us from making those things the right way. Whether it's if it's wheat, you ferment it with sourdough. If it's dairy products, it's grass fed. If it's nuts, they're sprouted. You get the idea. There's nothing stopping us from making those products the optimal way. and our goal is to be able to sell all of them. So whether it's a pretzel or a cookie or a cracker, whatever, you can get it from us, and you can rest assured that it will be more delicious than the conventional version, and also far healthier than even the health foods that you can commonly buy.
Totally. Are you familiar with, Bill Schindler?
Oh yeah, yeah, good friend. He's visited our factory. I visited his spot in Maryland several times. He used to live
Yeah.
near where I grew up. So,
Yeah, he's one of my best buds, we go hunting together, but, like,
oh,
he's
that's
a
cool. Well, I'm not
perfect
that good
exa
friends with him. That's cool.
yeah, he's a perfect example of, like, how you can take something that's been totally bastardized by society these days and, like, return it to its roots and make it healthy again,
Right,
as healthy as it possibly could be,
right.
so,
And
yeah.
you go to his place. It's not like a health food store. He has liverwurst. Well, I guess maybe some people think liverwurst is healthy. I think it's delicious. Liverwurst sandwiches and potato chips. They got tortilla chips and they got bagels and they got bread and they got cookies. Like it's not ostensibly a health place. Everything is just delicious, but he makes it right down to the last detail. Are you in
Mhm.
Maryland, by the way?
No, I'm in Arkansas, but I'm gonna go up to Maryland to hang out with him. He's come down here to hunt with me, but, like, we speak at a lot of the same conferences, he's a good dude.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, no, huge fan of Bill's. Yeah, I mean, he even has an everything bagel seasoning where it's like every ingredient of the everything bagel seasoning is like perfectly made in the right way, and it's like that attention to detail is very hard, rare to see.
That's exactly right. So when it comes to you using tallow as the, fat source that you're frying in, what is the motivation behind that? Obviously, there's a big push right now, especially with Maha from a political standpoint, to kind of step away from all the seed oils. Like that's the buzzwords and all the branding right now.
Mhm.
What's your motivation for doing so?
Uh, we use tallow because tallow is just the best fat for frying. If you compare it to the other options, so seed oils are obviously no go. We know why that's bad. Happy to talk about it if you want, but I think most people probably understand that's not good. You use coconut oil, but then it tastes coconutty, and then it's like they're also very greasy if you fry stuff in coconut oil. You also have to import coconuts from across the Pacific Ocean. It's like a huge nightmare. Um, from a supply chain, local locavore or local eating perspective. Could use palm oil. Most palm oil is very low quality. You got to deforest rainforest in Indonesia to get it. It's mixed with a whole bunch of preservatives. Again, similar problems to coconut oil. Then there's olive oil, which is not really meant for frying. Um, it's not the best for high heat uses, and it would impart an olive oily taste, which wouldn't really work for tortilla chips. Um, and then, yeah, ghee doesn't work. Ghee's too expensive and delicate. We've thought about doing it as a limited run, but like, you think tallow chips are expensive? Like, let me sell you some ghee chips, right? Um, and then lard, it's hard to find high quality lard. You need to have like really well pasture raised pork. There's just not that big of an industry for it in the US. Um, Beef tallow is basically the only one left. And it's perfect because it tastes good, uh, highly saturated, high in fat soluble vitamins, easy to find a large quantity of high quality tallow. It's produced locally, right? Every state in the country can produce beef and beef products. So yeah, it was what was used traditionally to deep fry stuff up until the seed oil revolution in the mid-century. So yeah, it's the ideal fat.
It is pretty tasty too, man. We deep fried our Thanksgiving turkey in grass finished tallow, and it was the bomb diggity.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, a lot of
It
people
is.
have been frying turkeys, and I did. We actually so we sell tallow in buckets and jars as a sort of side project. Tallow that we use, and we did an email where we were selling buckets for Thanksgiving for people to fry turkeys, and I forget what the stat was, but it was like 12 million gallons of seed oils are used every Thanksgiving for frying turkeys. So I don't
Mhm.
quote me on this, but something insane. We sent out an email and I put the number in there. But yeah, like that in just one day. That's how many seed oils are consumed. Absolutely insane.
Yeah, I mean, it's like my family's always used peanut oil, and I'm like, "Man, I don't even wanna eat this turkey knowing that it's been fried in peanut oil. Let me just provide the tallow because we use tallow for our bricks." So I've got a bunch of it, and I'm like, "Let me just bring the tallow in, and we'll see what y'all think," and then I fried it up, and they were talking about turkey, so I think that's gonna
Yeah,
be the new
there you
story
go.
going. That's
That's the thing. It's like if you let's say you went to them and try to say, "Hey, fry this in coconut oil," they'd like chase you out of the house, right? Like, what the hell is that? No son of mine,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
They wouldn't want to eat it. It would taste weird. It would be weird. But your family, I just like any American family, long enough ago in the past, if they were frying a turkey, it would have been tallow, right? That is
Mhm.
the tradition. So it's hard to convince like friends and family, especially like people that aren't super into health to do this type of stuff because they think it's all weird. Oh, I'm gonna eat kale and chia seeds and other random stuff. Um, but when you have this attitude toward your food, you're like, hey, actually, you're welcome. This stuff is more delicious. You know, I remember as another anecdote, like when I was a kid, soy milk was all the rage, and my uncle was a chiropractor, and at the time, soy milk was good, so he was like, "Eat soy milk," and I remember all of us rolling our eyes and like we eat our soy milk and like hate it, and then not enjoy it at all, but like we're doing it because we thought it was healthy, and it's like if we have the right philosophy of food, instead they would be saying, drink grass-fed, pasture-raised raw milk. And that's delicious, right? I never liked milk as a kid, probably because I was traumatized by the soy milk, but raw milk is delicious. And so if you have that type of food, you actually get to appeal to the taste sensibilities of that most people have. And that's really the only way that where we're going to help everyone be healthy is if they don't have to give that up. They don't have to give up the enjoyment of the food they eat in order to eat things that are healthy.
Hello, y'all. Robert Sykes, the founder of the Savage Perspective Podcast, the host of the Savage Perspective Podcast. As y'all know, we do not roll ads throughout the podcast. This is not an ad technically, but I'm going to throw it in there just in case. The reason I don't put ads in here is because I don't want y'all to be distracted with minutes and minutes of just irrelevant content for me to make a buck. That's not good for y'all. I don't want to be inauthentic like that. However, I would be remiss if I didn't point y'all towards a great resource. So all of the guests that I bring onto the show are designed to give y'all insight, give you information, give you value that allows you to optimize your health from a ketogenic standpoint. I've built out a resource that takes everything I've learned over the years as a podcast host, as a professional natural bodybuilder, as a coach in the space, and I've compiled all that into a very, very comprehensive system, which also includes a community, a membership community from an accountability standpoint. It's got a ton of resources like a free workout app. It's got a AI that's built out based off of all of my content, so it's not giving you conflicting information. And the program has over 150 videos that breaks down all the details as to how to manipulate your macros, optimize your metabolism, build muscle, lose fat, all the good stuff that y'all are striving to do. And also, since I don't do ads on the podcast, all of the affiliate discount links that I have for various different brands live in this program as well. That literally pays for the cost in and of itself. So if you're interested in doing a deeper dive, actually using these tools and reaching your highest self, check out ketobodybuilding.com.
Yeah, it's crazy how hijacked people's sense of flavor and taste is. Like, people oftentimes say when they, go keto or carnivore, their taste buds acclimate and their longing for sweet things is diminished. And it's true, man. Like people have like their sense of flavor is so wildly compromised eating the nonsense that they're eating out there now. And it takes, I don't know, a couple days, couple weeks for that to acclimate. But like once you do, you just appreciate what real food tastes like because it tastes like real food. It's notably different.
Right. Right. I use this example often. This helps people understand. If you have a cat or a dog, like how does it know what to eat? Or better yet, like a lion on the savannah or a deer in the woods. How does it know what to eat? There's no USDA food pyramid. There's no doctor. No one telling it what to eat. No mom yelling at it. No doctor yelling at it. It figures out what to eat by what tastes good. You know,
Okay.
the deer goes or a lion goes and eats a gazelle, and it's like, delicious gazelle. And a gazelle goes and eats some leaves somewhere, and it's like, delicious leaves. And it just so happens, of course, that gazelles are healthy for lions to eat, and leaves are healthy for gazelles to eat. And so that works because they look for what tastes good. And humans are no different, right? Our taste buds are designed to tell us what's healthy and what's not. The only problem is that our taste buds evolved or were designed under circumstances where artificial food didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not designed to account to be able to correctly evaluate whether or not a food is good for you or bad for you if the food's artificial. And of course, modern food chemists go one step further and they chemically engineer foods, especially to taste good, without any nutritive reason behind it. And so if you have a diet that consists of artificial things, eating what tastes good is not going to tell you what's healthy or not. But if you limit your diet to things that are natural foods, then your taste buds are going to be the accurate, like the best possible determiner of what you should be eating or not, because that's what they're designed to do. You just have to like free up their judgment by removing the artificial ingredients, and then they can do their job appropriately.
Yeah. I mean, people, if they just simply got more in tune with how they're feeling, like what's your GI telling you 12 hours after you consume a food?
Yeah.
Like if it's ranked, then probably something that you shouldn't eat on a regular basis.
Right.
When it comes to the seed oil argument, a lot of people, I mean, obviously people listen to this, people that we're interacting with these conferences, like they're pretty well versed in the seed oils. But there's a pretty big demographic in the, evidence-based space who oftentimes kind of poo-poo the whole seed oil debate scenario and just point to the scientific studies. Do you have any argument or recourse or response to them?
Yeah. So there are a few things. We talk about studies. Um, they're only like the only of information available to determine something about whether or not something's good or bad or whatever is if a study's been done. Just because a study has not been done doesn't mean the thing is good or bad. It just means we haven't had a study done before. A good example of this um, is it healthy for humans to, being facetious, but is it a good idea for humans to just jump off a roof, right? Is that healthy or not? According to studies, I don't know, because I'm sure there's not been a study on a bunch of humans to jump off a roof and see what happened, right?
Probably not.
Probably not. But obviously, we shouldn't be jumping off a roof. So, if you make all your decisions in life based on what studies are available, you'll be unable to make decisions based off of things where there are no studies available. And it just so happens that on this issue in particular we talk about, there are not a ton of studies available um, on like how bad seed oils are. And then you ask why? Well, because studies are paid for by someone, and there's not really anyone with money who wants to pay for a study that is trying to prove that seed oils are bad for you. There are plenty of seed oil companies that want to prove that they're good for you, and so they pay for their studies, and of course they get what they pay for. But there's not like the olive oil industry or the tallow industry. They're not so big or consolidated or corporatized as the vegetable oil industry, and so they don't pay for studies about why olive oil is so much better or why tallow is so much better or whatnot. So that's the first point. What studies are available and who's paying for them. The second thing, there's a very famous paper, ironic, right? It's a scientific paper that analyzed a whole bunch of studies and figured out that like the vast majority of them could not be replicated. And so it's called the replicability crisis, if anyone's familiar with this term. Basically refers to this fact of modern scientific research where most of the studies that are published can like the results cannot be replicated if someone else were to do the study again, which defeats the whole point of science. Right? Remember from like 8th grade science class, science, the scientific method, you do an experiment and then you find your results. And the whole point is that other people can do that experiment. You log down your methods and other people can follow those methods and get those results. And that's how you know that these things are real. In places in fields like physics or chemistry where things are much more objective and easier to measure, scientific replicability is high. But in fields like physiology and health and medicine and sociology and psychology, it's very vague. And so a lot of the times a lot of studies, I forget the percentage, it's a very famous paper. They're not replicable, which means they're basically fake. BS. So that's point number 2. Point number 3 is because of that, because the results are not replicable and therefore not real, it's relatively straightforward to produce a study that says really whatever you want the conclusion to be. And so if I want my study to say X and I pay the researcher and they know that I wanted to say X and they're accepting my money to do the study, guess what? It's going to say X. And if I want them to say Y, they'll say Y. Because if they don't, their funding source will dry up. So suffice to say, there is not a large body. This is true. There's not a large body of purpose-built studies designed to test if seed oils are bad, showing that they're bad. That being said, there's an overwhelming amount of evidence that seed oils are bad, which can be determined as like secondary or byproduct conclusions from studies that are investigating something else. On my website, I maintain a whole list of every study that I've found, and I'm sure there's way more that I haven't, that relate to seed oils in some way. And it's organized by health condition like obesity, Alzheimer's, whatever. And there are plenty of studies that basically have a conclusion that seed oils are bad in this way, but they don't come out and say it outright, and you have to sort of read between the lines. So, for example, we know that seed oils cause lipid peroxidation because there are studies that say that. There's a whole bunch of other studies that say, oh, lipid peroxidation, which is this like the breakdown of fats, was found to cause this harmful effect in X, Y, and Z way. So you have to combine those two pieces of information and be like, oh, the seed oils cause lipid peroxidation. Lipid peroxidation caused the Alzheimer's or whatever it is. And you have to do this sort of detective work again because the body of literature is not it's not designed to test if seed oils are good or are bad for you. It's designed to the opposite, and yet we still find these results all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So, so yeah. Anyway, that's what I have to say about science in this context.
Do you feel like I mean, there's probably a myriad of different factors that have led to the obesity crisis and epidemic that we find ourselves in now. But if there was one primary catalyst or common denominator, would it be seed oils in your opinion?
Yeah, I'd say that's at least a fair bet. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's certainly several things. Seed oils are highly influential in part because of the quantity which we consume them in. So if you think red 40 and artificial food colorings are bad, sure, I agree. Of course they're bad. But the average person consuming artificial food colorings eats maybe a few milligrams of artificial food colorings a year because they're used in such small doses. Whereas the typical American eats 25 to 30% of their calories in seed oils. It's the largest single source of calories in the average American's diet. And so people, if you think, the dose makes the poison, people understand
Mhm.
that. Then what are we having the biggest dose of? In terms of volume, it's by far the vegetable oils. Nothing even comes close. Um, so I'd say they're immensely influential in the modern obesity crisis. Again, there are other factors. Pretty obvious ones could be sedentaryism, a lot of usage of electronics and EMF radiation, high stress in work and personal life, um, certain like the pesticides and all the processed and toxic additives that are used in the agricultural system, environmental pollutants, sure, all of these things play a role. Um, but I'd take the bet that seed oils are the most influential, but certainly not the only one.
Yeah. What was the study? I don't think it was a study, but it was like you consume seed oils, there's like a 2-year half-life or something crazy. I
Yeah.
forget the figure.
Yeah. So this is another example of like that study was not trying to find out what the half-life of seed oils were,
Yeah.
right? That was not the question under investigation. Nor was it a study trying to figure out, let's say, like measuring how quickly seed oils could be detoxified if people tried. That would be a cool study to do, right? Get your control group who just stops eating seed oils. Get another group that's saunas twice, 3 times a week. Get another group that takes vitamin E. You could do that study and then measure their like seed oil blood content or fat content after a few weeks or months. Like that'd be pretty cool. No one's done that study. So it's not like we have particularly accurate information about this. However, I forget what the paper was even trying to do. But as a result, it mentioned that seed oils have a half-life of 2 years in body tissue, which would imply that after 7 years, there's a 90% reduction if you were to stop today. Again, I'm sure that's extended versus if you actively tried to get rid of them. Because again, in that study, people weren't trying to get rid of them. But that's the only data. Again, that's the only data we have on the topic. So this is one of
Yeah.
these things where it's like no one's ever looked at it, so we actually don't really know. But that's the only data point that we have so far.
So with seed oils being so prevalent, like obviously you're motivated enough to make a product without seed oils. So you're highly motivated as an individual, but like when you're
Sure.
traveling, going through day-to-day life, like how much emphasis do you put on it? Like if you're
I put
rushed on
immensely strict emphasis on it. Um, I will not voluntarily eat a seed oil. I don't care what it is or where I am or what's in it. I will not voluntarily eat a seed oil. There are points in time where I may accidentally ingest them because of something I wasn't aware of. Although I'm pretty good at detecting it, I will say. Probably one of the
Mhm.
best at either smelling it, looking at it, tasting it. Like I can tell, and also asking like at a restaurant or wherever, asking for it to not be included and ordering the right things to reduce the chance of there being some cross contamination or whatever. Um, so I strictly avoid them to the greatest extent possible.
What do you notice symptom-wise if you consume them now, having kind of been healthy for quite some
Yeah, my stuff. I think maybe there's like one or two times in the past several years where I've accidentally ingested a non-trivial quantity of them, and I felt like my stomach really hurt. I had heartburn, digestive problems. But again, I wasn't eating a lot of them. It wasn't like I ate a whole bunch of McDonald's French fries. I don't even know
Yeah.
what would happen to me. I wouldn't want to find out. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But it's the indigestion is probably the first obvious sign, and again, since I don't eat them very often, it would affect me differently than from someone else. But yeah, I wouldn't really want to find out.
Yeah. What do you think your stance is, or what's your pulse on the market as a whole right now, especially with the Maha movement and all the seed oil branding and just kind of the direction things are going? Like, where do you think we're headed in the
Yeah.
next year or
So
two?
I think once people figure out that they truly shouldn't eat a thing like seed oils, it doesn't ever go away. No one wakes up, in the future and then says, "Actually, no, I do want to eat seed oils." Perhaps people end up having less strict preferences for what they do, or if it's inconvenient or whatnot, they'll end up eating them, but no one wants to. Um, I think that's here to stay. The other thing about them is that seed oils are one of the only recent health trends where the thing that you have to do the diet ends up tasting better than what you were doing before the diet. So, I know you talk a lot about keto. In my opinion and experience, keto versions of foods don't taste as good as the normal version of the food. That's not to say people shouldn't do keto. There are plenty of good reasons to do so. Uh, that being said, like burgers taste better with a bun. You know, maybe you shouldn't eat a bun. That's fine. That's not, you figure out what you need to do for your health. But burgers with buns are delicious. Or like bread and butter is delicious. And so, same thing with gluten free, right? Maybe you shouldn't eat gluten. I'm not here to tell you what to eat. Uh, but I never encountered a gluten free bread that tasted superior to a gluten containing bread.
Yeah.
And I don't think I ever will. Um, and so if you think about this, like the stickiness of various dietary preferences, when the thing that you have to do in order to comply with the diet ends up being unenjoyable, it's very hard to do over the long term. Again, that's not saying people shouldn't try for various reasons, but it's fact that it makes it hard to do and increases the likelihood that people will stop doing it. Um, Whereas with seed oils, by not eating them, like, you can't make the argument to me that anything that's made with seed oils would taste better, than if they were made with beef tallow, right? Like, your turkey tasted better when it was made with tallow versus peanut oil or something. Your french fries taste better if they're made with tallow, et cetera, et cetera. So I think
Yeah.
that's a reason why they're here to stay. I don't think the HHS is gonna come out and ban seed oils. I don't even think it's possible to do that. I think the market has to make that decision for itself over many years. But I think from what I've seen, they're releasing updated food pyramids, whatever, that stop demonizing saturated fats. And once that's in place, that's very cool because a lot of institutions, from schools to hospitals, rely on the health guidance, the nutrition guidance from the federal government about what to serve their, customers, whether it's patients or students or whatnot. And so, if the government's saying, actually, don't serve them seed oils or actually saturated fats, okay, then they can make dietary choices that they otherwise couldn't for compliance reasons. Like, even if a principal of some school, a public school today, realized that seed oils are bad, they don't feed them to them and their family, but and they wanted to stop feeding them at the school lunches to the kids. They couldn't really do that because the federal whatever guidelines say that saturated fat's bad for you. So I think that's freeing up that policy is good.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think the taste obviously is better. That makes the diet itself more easy to adhere to. I think the biggest stumbling block for people to avoid the seed oil shenanigans is simply the convenience factor because it is wild how much it is just out there running rampant in pretty much everything. Like you have to actively be looking at every single ingredient list on
Mhm.
whatever food item you're consuming.
Yeah, and so that's kind of why we're here, is to make it convenient, at least for a certain category of foods, to avoid them. Um, we're not on every retail shelf today, but in the next few years it will be, God willing. Um, And when you're grocery shopping, if you could buy something from us or you could buy something from someone else, well, you'll know that if you get it from us, that it doesn't have seed oils and whole host of other things that are bad for you. Um, and it's delicious, right? So it's not like you bring home to your kids. They're like, no, mom, I want Doritos. They're like, oh, I want Moss chips. Um, so it's enjoyable. It's convenient. And if we have that as like a system, it's not just chips, it's everything, then I think it's much easier for people to be healthy. Like people were healthy in the 1950s. This is true. No one was obese. People lived a relatively long time, especially ignoring early childhood death. Cancer rates were lower. All sorts of things were lower. Um, were they biohackers? Did they have Weight Watchers? Did they work out 5 times a week? No. Did they take vitamins? No. They take supplements. They have a morning routine. No, 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 no. They drank whiskey like fish, and they chain smoked cigarettes, and yet they were healthier than us. And why is that? Well, because the things that were conveniently available to them in their life to eat and live amongst in general were not toxic.
Mhm.
You go to the 1950s diner and the beef is from some cow down the road, and the the burger buns are not overprocessed, and there's no seed oils in the French fries. They didn't have to ask for it. It just was. You didn't go to the grocery store to ask for pasture-raised eggs or grass-fed beef because, for the most part, it was grass-fed or pasture-raised and whatnot. You didn't have to ask for organic because the pesticides that organic seeks to avoid didn't even exist. So you couldn't even ask to not have them because it wasn't an option to have them. And so they didn't try hard at all, and yet they were way healthier than us. And the reason why we're so unhealthy today is because we have to try so hard. And in many cases, it's not even possible. And even if where it is possible, it takes a lot of time and or money to do so. Of course, it's not just the food, it's everything, the clothing, the plastic fabrics, and the artificial fragrances, and the off-gassing plastic furniture, and the bromine, flame retardants, whatever it is. There's a whole bunch of toxic stuff that people don't even think about, that we have to actively and expensively and time-consumingly try to avoid today that an ancestor, 70 years ago of ours might not have had to do or would not have had to do.
You feel like the majority is going to recognize that and put in the time, money, effort, and resources to improve their state of being, or you think most people are going to be like, to hell with it, and just have this implosion decline that keeps on going down, and the rest is history? Like, not trying to be
Yeah,
like
yeah,
super
it's a
negative
great
here,
question.
but
Yeah, I don't think the majority of people will actively take it upon themselves to, to undertake the inconvenience of doing all the healthy things. I don't believe that is likely to happen. That being said, the more that certain subsets of people do take upon that inconvenience for themselves, the more easy it is, the more convenient it's made for everyone else. So, for example, obviously, the vast majority of normal people are not buying Moss chips on our website or have not been for the past 3 years, and they are not likely ever to. But because certain people who care, so thank you to those people, have been buying them, we can now sell them in Sprouts. And that allows for more people to more conveniently buy our products. And if it works at Sprouts, which is going well so far, then it's in Whole Foods. And then a lot of people shop at Whole Foods. And then because it does well at Whole Foods, it does well at Target, and even more people shop at Target. And eventually it's in everywhere else. Um, so because early adopters will go through the effort and expense, everyone else therefore gets the benefit of being able to obtain it more conveniently later on. So I think that's what's likely to happen. I think you're likely to see our products or similar all over grocery stores in the US in the next few years, and they're likely to do well. And that will make them more available to more people who then buy them. Will make it more available to more people who then buy them. And then you'll see those people, the normal people who otherwise wouldn't be buying that thing, buy that thing. And that's true for all sorts of categories, whether it's natural fabric, clothing, or chips, or restaurants, or whatever.
yeah, no, I agree. What is your personal big picture goal with it all, man? Like, are you wanting to grow it, expand it, and then sell it? Or are you gonna keep it in the family for
I
eons and
I
eons?
would
Or
I would
what's
I
your
would
goal?
like to keep it in the family forever. I hope that's possible. If that is possible, I'll do that.
Yeah.
um, it it has not always been possible. Not there are very few examples of companies that sell food that have grown and been able to become self-sustaining large independent businesses. That's our goal. I hope that's what happens. I'm working toward making that to be the thing that is what happens. Um, but the reality of economics is it's tough. Frito-Lay has a lot of money and they're very good at getting things to customers cheaply and efficiently. Um, so at the very least, I do know there are plenty of examples of companies that have been sold that have had very strict terms on what can and cannot be done to the products, the recipes and whatnot. Primal Kitchen, the ketchups, mayonnaise is one of them.
Mm.
Hugh Chocolate is one of them. I consume both of those. I think they're great, despite the fact that Kraft owns Primal Kitchen and Mondelez owns Hugh Chocolate. They seem to have done a good job on ingredient integrity so far. And in another sense, because those big companies bought them, those products are now available in more places. So I don't think it's wholesale bad. Although, of course, I would like to own it forever.
You got family, kids?
Yeah, I have a kid and another one on the way.
Nice. Congrats, man. How old are they? The one on the way,
Um,
obviously. Yeah, but the other one?
My son is 20 months old.
Nice, man. Nice. We got a 3.5-year-old and a 4 or 5-month-old, and
Congrats.
keeps
That's
you
awesome.
busy. With a business and a growing family, man, it's no rest for the weary.
It is no rest for the weary. I will give you that. So, I mean, congrats to you. That's awesome to hear. That's great.
Well, likewise, man. Congrats on the one on the way.
Thank you.
Well, shoot, man. Where do people go to find out more about you, get some Masa chips, dive deeper into your world?
Sure. Yeah, Masa Chips, MasaChips.com. Potato chips are at Vandy Crisps, VandyCrisps.com. And if you're on social media and you want to follow me, I don't really post very much these days, but Really Tan Man is where you can get me.
Man.
Oh yeah.
Do you have an idea what the next product SKU will be? Or are you at liberty? Probably not.
There's two that we're toying with in terms of product lines. I don't really want to say, but they are both of them crunchy and both of them salty. So you'll see. And as far as flavors are concerned, I really, really, really want to do a salt and vinegar potato chip. It's hard to find vinegar powder that doesn't have crap in it.
Yeah,
But-
salt and vinegar is my favorite, but hopefully you can get it figured out for sure.
Yeah, hopefully.
Awesome, man. Well, Steven, it's always a pleasure chatting with people that are doing the good thing, making it easier for people to be healthier, and honestly keeping things in-house. Like, there's not that many of us that have kept production
sure.
in-house from the get-go.
For sure.
So, this is the first time we've interacted, but I've already got a world of respect for you having done that. So kudos to you, man.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Likewise. Thanks for having me, Robert.
Absolutely, man. Take care. If you have anything for me, man, just let me know.